program you are about to watch contains actual police video and photos taken from the investigation's master file. Camdenton, Missouri is a place known for its wholesome, family-friendly way of life, where everyone knows everyone.
Camdenton is a nice small community down at Lake of the Ozarks, about mid-Missouri area. It's a nice bedroom community. A lot of good folks live in here.
But in the spring of 2013, all is not perfect in this small, tranquil town. Someone here is harboring a dark secret. 9 years ago, someone brutally stabbed and killed 48-year-old Tommy Hope. It's an unsolved murder that now brings a pastor.
And she gets into some explicit sexual encounters that she wants to have.
A housewife.
And you couldn't handle it, now I'm in jail.
And 2 cops to an interrogation room.
So was she writing like a 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing? Or is that
I don't know what 50 Shades of Grey is.
At the Camden County Sheriff's Office. Every day, murder suspects and investigators come face to face in the police interrogation room.
I did not kill my mom.
It's where detectives separate truth from lies.
And you're gonna sit here and tell me this crap?
The innocent from the guilty.
Well, can I talk to a lawyer?
It's a place where cases are closed with killer confessions.
Have a seat.
This is probably the last place 36-year-old Clara Rector expected to be. The devout wife and mother has been locked up for the past few hours in the Camden County Jail on charges of stalking and sexual harassment. Clara will soon be questioned by investigators. But first, they need to speak with the target of her harassment, her pastor, Jerry Sousley. Inspector Eric Stacks works this interview alone as cameras record every word.
This is your interview. You take the opportunity to use your own words.
Okay.
You just explain to me what is going on here. Let me start.
The interview with the pastor was number one, to verify all the facts and find out exactly what was going on from his side of the story. We also wanted to make sure that was there any underlying issues that him and Clara may have had.
She began to, leave a note on my desk. And they were, I don't even remember the subject matter, but it was just like...
It all started with Clara coming on to him.
Pastor Jerry, hi.
Clara, hi.
I haven't heard from you. Did you get my note?
He said it was like a schoolgirl infatuation. He even made a comment that he said, when you talk to her, you're gonna see she's got the mentality of a younger, like a 15-year-old girl.
It's almost like a teenage kid, it's just, and she would sign it with a heart and love CJ. I said, Claire, you can come and talk to me. I said, but you can't do this. Several weeks, a month or two would go by, and nothing would happen, and then those types of things. Then I got a letter on my desk from her, and she's complaining about how she feels left out of the church, and that her and her family are probably going to go find another church. And then she wrote that, plus, you're a big distraction to me. Something along the lines, you're very attractive.
According to the pastor, over the last few months, Clara's infatuation becomes an obsession.
That's what was getting me concerned. It was growing. It was getting a little more brazen each time. She started texting me and just asking questions, but I tell her she just wanted a conversation. And I would text her back. Well, that would make her mad. What's wrong with you? Why won't you talk to me?
It got to the point where he said, I started getting afraid of her. He would go out early in the morning and find notes on his car where she had been to his home and left notes.
Clara, I need you to listen to me really carefully.
He told her on many occasions, this is very inappropriate, and I'm married and I have a reputation. I'm the pastor. We can't have this.
I said, that's of the devil. It's right out of the pit of hell. I said, that destroys churches. It destroys families. I'm married. I got a family. You have a family. I said, it's uncalled for. You need to stop doing that. And she said she was sorry, and that she wouldn't do it.
But the harassment never stops.
He was making some very strong allegations, and we needed to make sure that wasn't in fact the case, that he wasn't setting her up or something to that effect.
From what Inspector Stacks can learn about Clara, she doesn't fit the profile of a sexual stalker. She is known to be deeply religious, devoting hours of her time each week to church activities.
I knew Clara Rector because we actually sat in the same pew at church. Her family and my family sat together at church. We knew each other's kids. Her husband and I were in the chili cook-off together every year. We were close church family. She was a very nice Christian woman.
Between taking care of her young kids and working, she runs her own Christian website and is popular with her fellow parishioners. The discrepancy between Clara's reputation and the pastor's scandalous statements has Detective Stacks asking the tough questions.
You know, as an investigator, we look at it and we try to look at every different angle. What led up to her thinking she could just offer herself to you, knowing that you're not a dummy, you're going to figure out that you're referring to her.
Right.
So, you know, the obvious question is, you know, well, did they have something going on the side?
Right.
So
no, we did.
Did you?
Absolutely not. But no, there's absolutely nothing. Well, been faithful my wife 25 years.
Okay.
I even followed up the question with, we're going to look at phones. We're going to look at text messages. Is there anything that we're going to find that you haven't already told me that may indicate that you were involved in this?
There's nothing out there that you're going to find at all that was inappropriate. Not one thing.
The pastor answered everything very directly, very openly. There was no reason to believe that he wasn't being honest with me whatsoever.
The pastor's story may be true, but it hardly rises to the level of sexual harassment or stalking. Then the pastor tells the inspector about the notebook she left for him.
On the front of it, it just had random stuff written all over it. This is my book. This is a story. Read it. Tell me what you think. So I opened it up, and I kind of skimmed through it because right away I knew what it was. And it was about a woman who was in love with her pastor. And she's talking about his big feet, his big hands, and his dark, dreamy eyes. And I know I can't have him, but I can't help how I feel. And she gets into some explicit sexual encounters that she wants to have. I imagine him coming up behind me and kissing me on the neck. And, you know, and like I said, I don't like stuff like that. And
So was she writing like a 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing?
I don't know what 50 Shades of Grey is.
It's a book that...
There was no names. It wasn't Claire and this pastor, but the inferences were so strong that it makes one wonder if she wasn't testing him to see, maybe I want this to happen. Here's a book, and maybe you'll take this under advisement. Maybe this could happen. You know, I'm open to it. Are you?
When I really got really uncomfortable was when she started talking about the encounter where, you know, I'm saying I. She just said he.
Well, she infers it.
Yeah, and he comes up behind me and something about her G-string, I don't remember,
right.
You know,
okay.
and that's when I was like, you know,
she does get very specific as sexually how the whole thing plays out. Okay.
Yeah, and then I remember reading one thing, size does matter.
Page by page, the writing gets progressively jumbled and random, a sign Clara could be losing touch with reality.
You know, and to be honest with you, I didn't read the whole thing because it was aggravating me. Because first of all, she just laid it on my desk where my wife could have picked it up, or my little girl, she's 11, she could comprehend what was being written. And so, you know, that really made me mad.
When Clara contacts the pastor's wife, his patience finally runs out.
Claire starts just kind of rambling. They didn't tell me everything that she said. But she said, I don't know what's wrong with Pastor Jerry. He keeps avoiding me. He don't want to talk to me. It's not like I want to have sex with him. And that upset my wife. And I was at home. She came in there and she said, you need to talk to her, and this is going to have to stop. So I said, Claire, if you want to play games with your family, that's fine. I said, but don't play games with mine. You know, you need to leave us alone, and don't call me. You know, you have crossed the line.
Yeah.
And she said, Jerry, and she's never called me by my first name. She said, Jerry, if you tell the law what you know about me, I will destroy you. I will effing destroy you. She used the word, and I just hung up.
That's when the pastor calls the police. It's not an easy call to make, because it means this man of the cloth will now have to admit he has a confession of his own.
She began to talk about this guy. She said his name.
The pastor is ready to share a terrible secret about Clara he's been harboring for 9 long months.
It was 4th of July. We have a fireworks tent. We were selling fireworks. And Clara showed up about 9:30, something like that. And she said, Pastor Jerry, I need to tell you something. And I said, okay.
She tells him that 8 years ago, she had hit rock bottom and committed a terrible sin.
She said that she had, got on drugs again. She's had substance abuse problems and got mixed up with this guy. She said his name, but I'm not sure. And then she just kind of stopped and put her head down, and she said, and I killed him. Just kind of matter-of-factly. And I said, what do you mean you killed him? And she said, I stabbed him. I didn't really know what to say.
They had a very long conversation, and I believe after that, he didn't know what to do. He had told her at one time, you need to go tell the police. He's the pastor in a community, and he didn't want to be the one to go run into the police and say, here's what I know. I think he was truly wanting to convince her to do this on her own.
I'm not trying to justify what I did, but, to be honest with you, I felt like that she was under so much pressure and guilt, she would just go do it herself, but she didn't.
And I believe what happened was the infatuation issue and her fantasy relationship with him got to such a point that it really started to concern him. And I think that's when he decided to just go ahead and notify the law enforcement.
The pastor told me that he could not remember his name, but he described in pretty vivid detail a crime scene at a location in the city of Camdenton from approximately 9 years ago.
Jen, I'll need a criminal history on.
Based on her vivid description of the brutal crime and the location and the time frame, well, there was only one unsolved murder case in this area that matched all of those. That's the Tommy Hope case.
Tommy Hope was a 48-year-old carpenter and construction worker who moved to Camdenton from Texas a few years earlier. He was well known in the area to be a welcoming neighbor and a caring friend.
Tommy had a heart of gold. He would help anybody that needed help. He was constantly giving things to people he thought they might want.
He really didn't have that much, but he would give you the shirt off his back, and that was my very first impression of him. Very giving.
Early on the morning of April 28, 2004, a 911 call directs police to Tommy Hope's house. They find Tommy lying on the floor in a pool of blood. He has been stabbed 8 times and his throat slashed. Inspector Dave Rice is one of the first at the scene.
There was copious amounts of blood everywhere. You could see stab wounds on Tommy's body. You could see that his throat was cut, and there was blood throughout the house. Even underneath his socks, on the bottom of his socks, you could see the blood where he had apparently walked throughout the house, and there was a blood trail throughout the various rooms. So it was obvious at that point that a serious struggle had taken place in which either the victim and the offender had walked throughout the house.
The trail of bloody footprints leads from the body to a side window, then disappears. Investigators assume the killer escaped through the window and ran into the woods behind the house. The murder weapon is nowhere to be found. The sheer brutality of the assault suggests it's an anger-filled personal attack. But who would want the affable Tommy Hope dead?
I was in total shock. I just cried my eyes out and thought, oh my God, who could do such a horrendous thing.
It was the darkest period in my life when Tommy was murdered. It was like the most horrific nightmare I could have ever had.
The motive for Tommy's tragic death is revealed by several pieces of evidence left behind at the crime scene.
Everybody said that he was a super nice man. He didn't have a history of violence that we knew of. He just had a drug addiction. And because of that drug addiction, began selling drugs to make money.
Investigators focus their search for suspects on Tommy Hope's fellow drug users.
There was a drug dealer that Tom owed money to that was one of the prime suspects. And then there were several other individuals known to be drug users that had a history of some violence that were possible.
Then, DNA tests from the items they find at the crime scene yield a surprising clue.
Between the blood droplets and the beer cans and the cigarettes and the various samples that we took at the scene, we got positive DNA hits on several individuals, one of which was Clara. We had her DNA in the syringes. We also had her blood on a swipe from the bathroom door. And so we did speak with Clara.
She said that she had been there and had injected some drugs with a syringe, which would account for the blood. So that fit the story, but she denied that she had killed him or she knew anybody that she knew who killed him. And we couldn't really establish any real motive why she would want Tommy Hope dead.
At the time, I felt there were 2 or 3 really strong possibilities. Honestly, Clara was not at the top of my list. Because there were so many stab wounds on Tom, as vicious as the attack was his throat cut and 8 stab wounds to his body. It was a vicious attack, and generally that's not something you would see out of a female suspect. It does happen, but that's not normal. So Clara was really not on our radar as far as being a top suspect. However, her husband was. We did talk to him, and he was interesting in that from the beginning, her husband said that he did not kill Tom. However, he did admit that he was glad Tom was dead. And he even admitted that there was a time in his life that he wanted to kill Tom, but he adamantly denied being the person that killed Tom.
Investigators can find no evidence to tie Clara or her husband to the crime. In fact, they have nothing to connect anyone to Tommy Hope's murder.
We just came to a point where the case went cold, the physical evidence wasn't conclusive, and we didn't have anything else to go on. That was as far as we could go at that point.
When the case went cold, it was a very difficult time. At one point, I just prayed to God, and I heard God's whisper that in approximately 10 years, someone's going to be somewhere running their mouth about it, and they're going to say a little too much, and the case is going to be solved. So I just kind of had to accept that and let go of it.
The Tommy Hope murder case languishes for 9 years, until the pastor comes forward. But charging Clara with the murder will have to be handled delicately.
I knew we had to get Clara into custody in order to talk to her about the murder of Tommy Hope. But we couldn't just go up and grab her up and tell her she was under arrest for murder, because she wasn't going to talk to us then. But I thought that if we could just get her into custody on the stalking case, we could probably get a confession from her.
So let's build a rapport and have you lead off with that.
Dave Rice and Eric Stacks are inspectors with the Missouri Highway Patrol, the state police which often helps smaller towns with homicide investigations. They have 30 years of interrogation experience between them, so they know they'll have to proceed carefully.
Let's just take it real slow, starting to figure her out, what her emotional ups and downs are, and and we'll start working that angle. I think the biggest mistake we could have made that day was to go in there immediately or very quickly and start in on the Tommy Hope thing almost immediately. We weren't ready for that, and we could tell she was not ready for that approach. All she had to say was, I'm not going to speak with you about this, and we were done. I'll be primary, and I'll just start talking about the pastor.
So instead, the interrogators plan on taking it slow, using Clara's arrest on the stalking charges to their advantage.
It basically gave us cover or an excuse, a reason to be there and start that interview on that other subject, which we both knew that we were going to lead into the Tommy Hope murder investigation ultimately.
she's got to have some suspicions of what's going on here.
Inspectors Stacks and Rice must walk a fine line between building a safe environment for Clara to admit to the murder while maintaining full command of the situation.
Control is very important. If you'll notice when she's sitting down in the chair, I think she picks the chair that feels the safest for her. I believe subconsciously Clara probably picked where she felt most comfortable. And conversely, we put that person in a position where we have the most control over them.
Hi, Clara. Can you sit in that chair for me, please?
And if you'll notice with Clara, that's the first thing we do is we ask her to move over to the other seat so that we can create stress or take it away during the interview.
We're going to explain to you what's going on and why you've been brought up here in just a minute, okay?
Since we're interviewing with two different people, it's always important to have one as the primary and the other person try to disappear as much as possible so you can build that one-on-one connection. And that's why when we started the interview with the pastor and the stalking charges, Eric was the primary.
My name's Eric Stacks. I'm an investigator with the Highway Patrol. This is Dave Rice. He's also an investigator with the Highway Patrol. The county's got this case. I think the reason why you're being held here is because I guess there was an issue with your pastor.
He's my pastor. I thought he was my friend.
We agreed I would go in and I would set everything up and establish some credibility and build some rapport with Clara and understand that we're there to talk to her and understand what this is all about.
But building rapport with a seemingly catatonic Clara will be tough.
You understand you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court.
I don't think she expected two investigators from the state police to come in and talk to her about this, and so that's why it was real sensitive that we take our time with her. And no shouting, no yelling, nothing like that. You're not going to get somebody to talk to you when you act that way.
If the pastor's story of Clara's confession is true, the inspectors may be close to solving the murder of Tommy Hope, a homicide that's kept the town on edge for years. But only if they can get Clara to confess to them.
My biggest concern was to make sure that we got that information from her in the best way without her becoming upset or asking for an attorney and shutting the process down to where we could not get to the truth.
And I didn't know what to do.
Apparently, keeping Clara calm and composed isn't going to be easy.
I don't understand why I'm in jail for this long. Why I didn't mean to make him feel scared. I was trying to tell him that I wouldn't. He didn't need to be scared of me.
For the Tommy Hope case, we really did need a confession from her to make this a solid case.
The plan is to start by focusing on the stalking charges made by Clara's pastor. But that approach will only work if Clara doesn't recognize Inspector Rice.
Do you remember me, Clara?
Rice and Clara met before, during the original murder investigation. If Clara recognizes the homicide investigator, she could realize the real reason for their visit and shut the interview down.
I wanted to gauge if she knew what this was really about. I wanted to gauge if Clara knew that we were really there to talk about Tommy Hope. If Clara had recognized me, we would know right away what direction we needed to go.
Do you remember me, Clara?
Since she didn't remember me, I dropped it, and we continued to talk about the pastor.
What kind of man is he? Can you tell us about him? I mean, because I don't know him.
He's awesome. I mean, he's great. He's a caring person. He's very patient and kind and knowledgeable. He's just everything good about somebody you could ever imagine. He's a good guy.
Good.
I would never hurt him.
They tell her that the pastor described the notebook she gave to him.
And we know the contents of what was in it, mainly for our understanding. What was it you were trying to explain to him? What was it you were trying to express to the pastor?
That I had feelings for him that I wasn't going to act on, and I knew that it was wrong to have them, and I couldn't explain it to him any other way. So I just wrote it in a story, and I wanted him to know that I would never do that. The man didn't trust me, And I just wanted him to be able to understand where I was coming from, and that I wouldn't, that's how I felt, but I would never do anything about it. And that's all I wrote.
We needed to spend some time with Clara that afternoon and get her to open up with us and speak openly about the stalking. He told us that there was some very sexually explicit material in there, and what your intentions were ultimately, because like I said, the man's frightened. You kind of frightened him.
I just wanted to see if I could be a good writer. And I knew that if I would ever be a writer, I would have to write about my feelings and my experiences and the truth about my life, because that's the only way you can be a good writer. But I didn't want to let anyone else read my book except Pastor Jerry, because it was about him. And if he couldn't handle the truth about that, then I wasn't going to write at all. And he couldn't handle it. Now I'm in jail. I didn't mean it. It was partly true and partly made up. It was just a story. But I didn't want anyone else to know about it. And I told him, if you ever tell anybody about it, I will make you pay. But I didn't mean it like painfully.
You meant the tip of your...
Yeah, I could. But that's what I told him. That's all I told him.
We just see that emotional roller coaster start to roll out.
And I'm so lonely, and I was so bored. That's why I even wrote the book. And I just wanted a friend to talk to.
It was sadness and emotion, despair. When you start seeing that, we're in the right direction. We're getting her to a place where we want you to tell us what really happened when we approach it.
I kind of just used that to my advantage to get some attention, because I really needed some attention. I needed some help, but that really didn't work out either.
What I picked up on Clara repeatedly, her saying how lonely she was, how no one would listen to her. And in everything that she was telling us, that was the message, that she wanted to talk to somebody. What that told me is she was there to confess. We just needed to spend the time and show her that we would be those people and listen to her, so that it would make it easy for her to tell the truth.
22 minutes into the interview, it's time for Inspector Rice to raise the stakes. He steers the conversation toward Clara's drug use, which they believe is the key reason Tommy Hope was murdered.
Like you said, you need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
He kind of inferred, Claire, that you'd, like in the past, that you'd had a drug problem.
Yeah.
Then,
yeah.
was that a long time ago, or was that?
Oh, it's pretty much been pretty consistent with different things over the years.
By allowing her to talk on her own, she volunteered her history with drugs and her stance on drugs, how drugs were bad and how they've ruined people's lives. And she began to expand a little bit more about her drug history and all the problems.
What were you into?
Oh, I used to do math, and at first I did coke, and then I got into math, and then pain pills, pot.
Oh gosh.
Just whatever I could get my hands on, but I was doing better until recently.
And you could hear her shifting that blame towards someone else. That is, it wasn't her fault.
Rice knows how profound the connection is between a suspect's ability to shift blame and their willingness to confess.
You have to find a way during the interrogation, number one, to save the person's ego, and then secondly, to provide them a way out. When I heard her talk about drugs, it played right into the direction I wanted to go. Because generally, if a person is addicted to drugs, since we all need somebody to blame, it worked out pretty well with Clara, because she could blame the drugs and she could blame that on Tommy Hope. And it gives her a motive and a reason why she can reconcile in her own brain why it's okay that I did this, that I'm okay, I'm not a bad person. It's the drugs did this. The drugs made me do this.
Eric Stacks takes the blame game to the next level by making it personal.
I know how that is. I've lived through it. I've seen it take them down. You know, you always want to reach out, and there was always someone that in my case, I always had to blame somebody, that person that I know, that got that person started. The person that got him started, I know who did it. And he's still, as far as I know, he's still alive, and it angers me. And I told her that we have all had experiences with family members, in our case as personal as immediate family members, having dealt with drugs.
The same thing happened. My overdosed and she was molested, and then my was the one that wasn't. So I always blamed for being the one that it didn't happen to her, and then she was addicted her whole life, and ended up only in 3 years ago. 3 years ago, 2010, she OD'd. So it's everywhere. I mean, there are drugs everywhere.
And I told her, I said, Claire, that's kind of the reason we're here today, is, to talk about the drugs and to talk about some other things.
With a clear moral escape route in place, it's time to take Clara back in time to 2004.
Once we were talking about the drugs and sharing personal stories about our lives, at the time, in watching Clara, I felt like she had picked up on that. And so I felt like, okay, it's time to start going towards Tommy.
He said it gets into everybody and makes you do crazy things and things you wouldn't normally do. And that's part of the reason we're here today, Claire. And that's why, I wanted to talk to you about it, but I wanted to be honest as well, as far as what's going on and why we're here.
You could see a look in her eyes. She starts to kind of give that head tilt, like that tongue-in-cheek, like, where are you guys going with this?
Clara appears unsure where Inspector Rice is leading her until he mentions the word homicide.
I've been working this area 16 years, mainly homicide. And so I've been around here, I've been doing this a while, and we go to different churches, but I'm a Christian too. And
there was a moment, like an aha moment in her head, that she was like, I see what's going on here. Wow, you got me good. I was thinking, is she gonna shut us down right now? I said, no, I know what this is about, we're done, we're done. I was thinking, what's getting ready to happen here? I didn't know.
I think I know what you're referring to.
What do you think it's about?
It's a critical moment during the interview where the person could decide not to talk. They're at a crossroads on what they're going to do.
As a police investigator, you're walking on eggshells, you've got to pick your words very carefully.
For most of the interview, Inspector Rice has been silent, letting his partner and Clara talk. Now, he's ready to take over.
There is a process and there's a way we go about interview and interrogation. During the interview, we want to obtain information. I want to actively listen. I sincerely want to know from that person what makes them tick. Once we make that switch to the interrogation, I don't want that person talking very much. I don't want to give her an opportunity to say, no, it wasn't me, I wasn't there. I want her to listen. Essentially, the interrogation is, okay, I've heard what you had to say. Now you need to listen to me.
Inspector Rice subtly adds to the pressure by moving his chair closer to Clara.
I've kind of been watching this case develop as it went through.
We did not find a weapon at the scene, but I wanted her to know that we did have physical evidence, that we had her DNA at the scene. It was important for her to know that this wasn't all hearsay from a pastor or what we thought might have occurred, that we had physical evidence to put her at the scene and to show that she was involved in the homicide.
I can show you the evidence from the Missouri State Highway Patrol Crime Lab. What I'm telling you is, we've got your DNA under his left fingernail, okay, on the bathroom door.
I told her that we did have her DNA on the syringes and on the door, which we had, but frankly, we had had that since 2004. The problem that we had, we didn't have it matching up going out of the back window, which is where the suspect left through. Had we had her DNA on that windowsill or in the back bedroom where the footprints led, we might have had a solid case at that point, but we didn't.
Inspector Rice continues his monologue for nearly 10 minutes, pressing her.
So what I'm telling you is there's kind of a culmination of events.
Cajoling her.
From the woman that I see in front of me, I talk to a lot of people and I don't see somebody cold-blooded at all.
Empathizing with her.
What I suspect happened is you saw yourself getting drugged back into drugs and the rest of it.
Without giving her a real chance to respond.
I would have the same feelings. So I get that.
It's a risky tactic. Clara could decide without a chance to respond, it's not worth talking at all.
It's always a fear that somebody will lawyer up and not want to talk. It can be very easy to shut somebody down.
And I was at that scene.
Yet there are no signs that Clara is thinking much about an attorney.
We were breaking her down emotionally, and she was doing the head nod and all that. And again, it's just time. And if it takes another 5 minutes, we'll spend another 5 minutes, but it's coming.
What I see is like things unfolding like a story. And we know what you told, your conversations with Pastor Jerry.
You could tell as you're studying her body language, her facial expressions, these guys know everything. And it was collectively, the three of us in the room were like, yep, we know, you know, let's go ahead and get there.
The only options for guys like us when we look at this is either a person is cold-blooded and they're evil and they planned it, or it happened by accident.
It was an accident because I didn't think about it before it happened. It just happened.
That's what I believe.
But it doesn't matter because I deserve to be in jail for the rest of my life. And that's
I think that she told herself then and there, this is it. I'm going to go ahead and tell them what happened.
Well, what do you want me to do?
What I need you to do.
I don't really. I can't afford a lawyer, and I can't make my parents pay for all that. I don't need that.
Here's what I need from you, and here's what I think you need from this too. More importantly, it's not about what I think what you need is to. I need you to just tell the truth.
I want to.
Okay. I'm going to be quiet. Just tell me how and what happened. Just tell the truth.
I wanted to make sure that we got the full information from her as far as her involvement without her becoming upset or asking for an attorney and shutting the process down.
The best way to keep that from happening is, apparently, to just let Clara talk.
So I did. I snuck out of my house in the middle of the night because I really wanted to get high. And I showed up down there and the door was locked and he wouldn't let me in, so I had to crawl in through the window, and I talked to him for a while, and then, like, he didn't save me and said just a little bit, and so he gave me enough that it got really, really high. But then there was no more, and we just started fighting and arguing, and he was going to ruin my life. And I thought that the only way that I could get my husband to not be mad at me for sneaking out and doing drugs and going back to Tom's, I couldn't see any other way out. I was desperate. All I wanted to do, I wanted to be free from it.
Okay.
I just grabbed the first thing that I saw and jumped on his back. I started fighting with him, screaming at him that I hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
She, according to her, without really even thinking, just grabbed a knife and started punching him with the knife.
And he just kept coming at me like he wanted to hurt me more than I was hurting him. Like he was going to kill me. And so I just was like going like this, get away from me. And he stopped. And then he went in the bathroom to look at his neck. And when he did that, I ran in the kitchen and grabbed the knife again because he was coming back after me because he was pissed off that I cut his throat. And he was standing there against the wall. And then he's like, I think you're killing me. I think I'm dying. And he just fell over.
I'm going, my God, what is this person? I mean, wow.
When Clara was going through the details of the homicide, there was never that moment of, oh my gosh, poor Tom, look what I've done, he didn't deserve this.
I just kind of sat there, I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I didn't know what to do, so I just grabbed the knife and then I grabbed his wallet because I thought it'd make it, I didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I just jumped out the window and I ran.
Towards the back of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where the footprints led.
Inspector Rice presses Clara for more details. He needs to make sure her story fits the evidence.
You jumped on his back, stabbed him in the back? Or
No,
which came first? Did you?
Throat.
The throat.
Claire said the first cut was right across his neck, which I knew was consistent with the wounds that were on the body, and that information hasn't been released. So it was helping me believe more that she, in fact, was the sole person who did this versus somebody else being involved.
What happened to the knife? The truth.
I ground it up with a grinder.
And what'd you do with the rest of it?
The rest of what?
The knife.
When Claire mentioned the knife, that she ground up the knife, you know, in a certain way, I guess it was providence, the fact that she told that to the wrong person.
Here's the funny thing about coincidence, and when we talk about God and providence, you know what my hobby is, what my passion is?
What?
Making knives. I'm a blacksmith. I grind on them all day long. I understand metal very well.
I don't know.
You can't grind up a knife just like that. You can't. I can't, and I grind a couple hours a day.
Clara backpedals and admits the knife was hidden at a construction site near her home.
It worked out very well, because then I can pull back in our theme of providence and saying, look, this is not all coincidence. You just told me a lie about something that very few people have a hobby of doing. You know, and it helps solidify that theme that God wants you to tell the truth. You can't lie here, you've got to do the right thing.
My life is over anyway, it doesn't matter.
What it matters, I think, is between you and God.
Right, that's why I told Jerry, because between me and God, if I don't tell the truth before I die, I'm going to be a liar when I get to heaven, and I don't want to be. I wanted to be honest. I wanted to tell the truth because I did something wrong.
Although she's saying, I've tried to confess and no one would let me, you know, that's minimizing her responsibility in the whole situation. She could have at any moment called the police and turned herself in and told the truth if it was truly weighing on her soul that heavily, and she didn't.
Is there anything that we forgot or anything I didn't ask you that's important for us to understand about this for right now?
I might have some slight mental conditions that might, you know. My mom is, my birth mom, is a paranoid schizophrenic, because she's been in an institution since 1978 in California. And me and my brother suffered a lot of mental and physical setbacks from her starving us when we were children, and I almost died, and we both got brain damage from that. And I mean, I just have some issues, you know. I have a lot of issues.
Well, if you, because this will, I mean, we're going to write a report from what you said, and so you've got a recorder there. I mean, it'll go to the prosecutor and the judge. Is there something you want them to know, or
that I
about
deserve to
you?
be punished. I know that, and that I don't want to waste anybody's time or money defending me, because I don't need a defense. I'm guilty, and whatever. I mean, whatever you guys want to do with me, I understand.
Well, it won't be up to us. You understand that. We're just, but let me make sure. I mean, and because this
I'm
is for
sorry.
No.
I mean, I would never do that in my right mind. I would never kill anybody.
In every one of these cases that I've done with homicide confessions, most people say that they're sorry, but what they're really saying is, I'm sorry I got caught.
Finally, after 68 minutes, it's time to wrap things up.
Is there anything you need us or want us to do, or any calls or anything that you want us to make for you, or is there anything we can do?
The thing is, I kind of got a ticket in Rolla yesterday or the day before that I have a court date too that I'm obviously not going to show up for. I don't know how to deal with that.
We can handle that. Okay. All right, Clara. Well, no, thank you for being honest about it. I mean, that's all.
As we were leaving the room, she said, I just want to thank you guys for making this so easy for me. And I remember thinking, I don't think I've ever been thanked for getting someone to confess to a murder to me, you know.
That's probably the only part of this that made me feel good, that I'm like, okay, we did our job. We took her by the hand and helped her through that door to tell the truth. So that tells me that at least we were on that day and it worked out.
I knew I wasn't gonna get out of here.
I do believe she was relieved because she finally got that ugly part of her life out of her psyche. She did what she set out to do a year earlier, and that was to tell what happened.
Thank you, Pastor Jerry. You finally helped me. You should have done that last year. I was ready.
Remorseful, I don't know. I'm sure she's sorry for being in the position that she's in because she committed a murder. Was she so sorry for doing that to Tommy? I don't know.
One of the things that drives, I think, most homicide investigators or detectives is that reminder that ultimately we work for the dead. My job is to represent the victim, and my obligation is to pursue that and find the truth for them. And so, you know, the personal satisfaction that you get from working these cases comes from helping the victim, because they can't speak for themselves anymore. So we have to be that voice for them. And so regardless of how Tommy lived his life, I helped fulfill that obligation.
Tommy Hope was not an angel, but Tommy Hope didn't deserve to die that way. Tommy was a victim of a crime and he deserved justice. And I hope that what we've done gives some closure to his family and hopefully justice was served.
I was really, really angry. I was very bitter and angry for a long time. But it gave a lot of closure after she confessed to this dreadful thing they had done to my brother.
Clara Rector is offered a plea bargain of second-degree murder. She accepts.
Come on out.